Have you ever stopped to truly ponder the nature of reality? Like really think about it? Is the world around you a fixed stage, playing out its drama whether you're watching or not? Or could it be that your very act of looking, your awareness, plays a far more profound role in shaping what we call real? This mind-bending question was at the heart of the work of John Archibald Wheeler, a true giant of 20th century science. Imagine a mind so sharp it stood shoulder to shoulder with Albert Einstein, a thinker who fundamentally reshaped our understanding of physics. But Wheeler's most revolutionary idea wasn't about black holes or the intricacies of quantum mechanics. It was about you. Wheeler dared to suggest something truly astonishing. That the reality you experience isn't something separate from you, something out there existing independently. Instead, he proposed that it comes into being, at least in part, because of you. To Wheeler, the universe isn't a collection of inert physical objects. At its deepest level, it's pure mind, pure information. Think about that for a moment. If this is true, it flips everything we thought we knew on its head. Your life, your challenges, your dreams, they aren't just happening to you. They're unfolding through you. Wheeler's vision invites us to consider a truth that mystics have hinted at for centuries, and which modern science is now beginning to echo. Reality isn't a pre-programmed machine. It's more like a question, and your very existence is part of the answer. By the time we reach the end of this exploration, you might just find yourself looking at the cosmos, and your place within it, in a completely new light. You might no longer see yourself as a mere observer in a cold, indifferent universe, but as an essential, inseparable thread in the very fabric of existence. The universe, according to John Archibald Wheeler, isn't like a clock ticking away, uncaring and mechanical. Instead, it's more like an empty canvas, waiting for the artist's touch. He famously called this the participatory universe. This isn't a passive reality. It's one that actively requires an observer, a witness, to even exist. This is a radical departure from the classical scientific view of a cosmos that simply is, regardless of whether anyone is around to see it. Wheeler's universe, on the other hand, responds to the very presence of mind. At the core of this groundbreaking idea lies a simple yet deeply unsettling truth about the fundamental building blocks of our existence. These tiny particles, the very essence of matter and energy, don't behave like the objects we encounter in our everyday lives. Quantum particles don't possess definite properties until they are actually observed. Consider a photon, a particle of light. Before it's measured, it's not really in one place or another. It exists in a state of possibility, a kind of shimmering uncertainty. It's only when awareness interacts with it, when we perform an observation, that it decides to be in a specific location or have a specific property. As Wheeler himself famously put it, no phenomenon is a phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. This act of observation, this interaction of awareness, isn't just passively revealing a pre-existing world. Wheeler argued that it actively brings the world into being. Imagine stepping into a completely dark room filled with soft, untouched clay. It's formless, without any distinct shapes. Every step you take, every movement you make, molds the clay beneath you. Every glance, if you had a light, would shape a figure in the darkness. Wheeler suggests that reality is similar. It's not waiting for you to simply find it, fully formed. Instead, it's waiting for you to, in a sense, create it through your observation. Observation, in this view, isn't a passive reception of information. It's an active act of cosmic authorship. What you perceive as the world out there isn't a pre-written script, indifferent to your presence. It's a living, breathing dialogue with your own consciousness. Wheeler's concept of the participatory universe directly challenges one of the most deeply ingrained assumptions in human thought, the belief in separateness. If reality only springs into being through the act of observation, then the very idea of a world existing completely independently of awareness starts to crumble. According to Wheeler, the universe isn't something happening out there, detached and separate from the observer. Instead, the observer is an absolutely inseparable part of the very process by which the universe manifests itself. In his view, the seemingly solid division between self and world isn't a fundamental feature of existence itself. Rather, it's more like a projection of our perception, a cognitive framework that our minds have constructed to help us navigate our experiences. For centuries, scientific thinking has conditioned us to see the world as something external and mechanical. We've been taught to believe that matter exists with certainty and independence, regardless of whether anyone is observing it. But Wheeler's work fundamentally dismantles this framework. He argued that quantum mechanics isn't just a description of the microscopic world. It reveals a much deeper truth about the nature of all reality. At the most fundamental level, particles simply don't possess definite properties until they are measured. What appears to be out there isn't fully real without the participation of an in here, our consciousness. In his own words, the universe does not exist out there independent of all acts of observation. This isn't just a poetic metaphor. Wheeler believed it was a logical consequence of how nature behaves at its deepest layers. For Wheeler, this illusion of separateness is a kind of trick played by the very structure of our perception. The boundaries we perceive between subject and object, between observer and observed, don't inherently exist. They emerge as an organizational tool of the human mind. He even proposed that fundamental concepts like space and time themselves might not be the fundamental substances we think they are. Instead, they might arise from information processed by observers, as patterns generated through our participation in reality. Think about it. When you look at a distant mountain range or trace the constellations in the night sky, you naturally believe them to be external, far away, and completely unrelated to you. Yet, within Wheeler's framework, their very existence, at least in the form you perceive it, depends on your observation. Their shape, their meaning, their presence in your experience are all shaped by your consciousness. A powerful metaphor captures this beautifully. Picture a ripple forming on the surface of a vast ocean. That ripple appears distinct, separate from the water around it. But its existence, its motion, its very being are completely inseparable from the ocean itself. Wheeler's Participatory Universe suggests that you are like that ripple. You appear for a brief moment as an individual observer, seemingly separate. But fundamentally, you are one with the vast ocean of existence. The boundaries you perceive between yourself and the cosmos aren't ultimately real. They're more like temporary patterns in a much deeper field of unity. What appears to be division is, at its core, a connection that we've misperceived. Wheeler's profound inquiry into the nature of reality didn't stop at exploring the observer's influence. He went on to ask an even deeper question. If observation actively participates in creating reality, then what exactly is being created? What is the raw substance of existence itself? His answer to this question was nothing short of revolutionary and completely dismantled centuries of materialist thinking. Reality, he claimed, isn't fundamentally made of matter. Instead, it's made of meaning, of information. The universe, in this view, isn't constructed from physical building blocks, like tiny bricks of substance. It's built from bits of information. To capture this radical idea, Wheeler coined the now famous phrase, it from bit. It's a simple yet incredibly profound formula, suggesting that every physical it, every particle, every object, every phenomenon, derives its very existence from an informational bit, a fundamental unit of information. Think about it. When you dissect matter down to its smallest scales, what do you find? Atoms, then subatomic particles which eventually dissolve into energy. But even energy, when we look closer, seems to be a form of probability. And probability itself leads to inherent uncertainty. Dig deep enough, Wheeler suggested, and there isn't a solid thing there at all. Instead, there's a resolution of choices, binary yes or no answers shaping what appears to us as physical reality. Information, not substance, is the very skeleton of existence. Every object you encounter, every event you witness, isn't fundamentally a thing in the traditional sense. It's more like a pattern of encoded knowledge, a message written in the language of awareness. Consider this: when no one asks a question, no answer exists. When no one observes, nothing truly manifests in a definite way. Reality, in this sense, emerges only in response to the question, to the act of observation. To further illustrate this, think about the dreamscape of your sleeping mind. Within a dream, entire landscapes unfold. People speak, dangers, and delights arise, all appearing as real as the waking world. Yet, upon awakening, we realize that the dream was made of nothing but thought patterns, streams of information animated by the dreamer's own mind. Wheeler's universe, he argued, operates in a remarkably similar way. The solidity of the world, the passage of time, even the notion of an objective past, each of these could be constructs, not of inert matter, but of meaning generated within consciousness. As the ancient Chandogya Upanishad proclaimed millennia ago, all this is woven on consciousness. Imagine existence as an infinite library filled with unread books. Each book contains a unique reality, a world filled with characters, landscapes, and events. But none of it truly exists in a manifested sense until a reader opens the pages. Until then, they remain as potential, latent, unmanifest. According to Wheeler, reality is precisely that, an infinite reservoir of informational possibility, waiting for awareness to read it into existence. You are not simply walking through a pre-written universe. You are, in a very real sense, flipping the pages as you go. The story unfolds not because it was written long ago, but because you are actively reading it now. Once the illusion of separation dissolves, a truly staggering realization emerges. You are not a passive witness to reality. You are an active creator. Wheeler's participatory universe implies that consciousness doesn't merely interpret the world. It actively shapes it. Where you place your attention, reality itself seems to bend, at least at the quantum level. This isn't just a theoretical idea. It's been demonstrated again and again in experiments where particles behave differently when they are observed. But this principle might not be confined to the subatomic realm. Consider how life itself responds to focus, to belief, to intention. Your attention isn't just a spotlight shining on a pre-existing stage. It's more like the brushstroke painting the scene. Imagine wandering through a forest where the landscape subtly rearranges itself based on the direction of your gaze. Look for danger, and shadows might seem to loom larger. Look for beauty, and blossoms might seem to bloom along your path. Wheeler believed that reality works in a similar way. What you hold in your mind, what you focus on with your awareness, echoes in the very fabric of existence. The universe, in his view, isn't governed by blind, mechanical laws alone, but by a participatory awareness that includes you. You shape it moment by moment. Follow Wheeler's vision far enough, and the physical world as we traditionally understand it begins to dissolve entirely. What remains isn't a world of separate things, but a world of mind, of interconnected information. Existence, in this profound view, isn't something external happening out there. It's an unfolding within awareness itself. At this boundary, the lines between science and mysticism begin to blur, revealing a truth that has been whispered in silence for ages. Reality isn't fundamentally physical. It's spiritual. You are not a tiny fragment drifting in an indifferent cosmos. You are, in a very real sense, the cosmos reflecting upon itself. The same fundamental force that spins galaxies beats within your own chest. The world you see isn't just happening to you. It's happening through you. The timeless words of the poet Rumi beautifully capture this truth. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. This is why John Archibald Wheeler's idea isn't merely a scientific theory. It's a potentially transformative perspective. Reality isn't dead matter following mechanical laws. It's alive, participatory, conscious. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you experience is, in this profound sense, spiritual because it is inseparable from mind itself. You are not just observing reality. You are its source, its sculptor, its very meaning. So, the next time you look around, take a moment to consider Wheeler's incredible idea. Could it be that the universe isn't just out there, but that it's also deeply within you, waiting for your conscious participation to bring it into being? It's a thought that might just change the way you see everything. What do you think of Wheeler's participatory universe? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this exploration of consciousness and reality thought-provoking, be sure to subscribe for more mind-bending ideas.